Kofi was 7 years old when he first heard the singing. It came from the forest behind his family's compound in the village of Nkrumah. Not the regular forest where children played and women gathered firewood. The other forest. The one with no paths. The one everyone avoided. Kofi. Kofi, come and play. The voice was sweet like honey. Soft like his mother's lullabies. But wrong. So very wrong. Mama, do you hear that? Kofi asked. His mother, stirring a pot of groundnut soup over the fire, shook her head. Hear what, my son? The singing. From the bad forest. His mother's spoon clattered to the ground. She grabbed Kofi's shoulders, her eyes wide with fear. You can hear it. No. No, no, no. Not my child. Not my Kofi. She dragged him inside their small house and locked the door. She drew symbols on the windows with white chalk, symbols Kofi didn't understand. She burned herbs that made his nose sting and his eyes water. Mama, you're scaring me. Listen to me carefully, she said, kneeling before him. Whatever you hear from that forest, you must never answer. Never go toward it. Never, ever go inside. Do you understand? Kofi nodded, but he didn't understand. Not really. That night, the singing grew louder. Kofi, we have toys here, we have sweets, we have friends who want to play with you. Come, Kofi, come. He pressed his pillow over his ears, but the voice came from inside his head now. Kofi wasn't the only one who heard the singing. Every 20 years, the forest called to the children of Nkrumah village. It always chose 7 children. Always between the ages of 6 and 8. Always the sensitive ones, the dreamers, the kind ones, the children who talked to animals and saw things others couldn't. The village elders knew this pattern. They had seen it happen 3 times before. In 1965, 7 children walked into the forest. In 1985, 7 more. In 2005, 7 more. None ever came out. The government sent search parties. Police with dogs. Soldiers with helicopters. They found nothing. The forest swallowed the children completely, leaving no trace, no bodies, no clues. After each disappearance, the village would mourn for 1 year. Then life would continue. People would whisper warnings to their children. They would avoid the forest. They would pray. But they never left Nkrumah. This was their home. Their ancestors' home. The land fed them. The land claimed its price. Now it was 2025. 20 years since they last called. And Kofi could hear the singing. At school, Kofi discovered he wasn't alone. There was Oma, a quiet girl who drew pictures of trees with faces. There was Kwame, who spoke to his dead grandmother's spirit. There was little Abina, who always knew when it would rain. There was Yo, who could find lost things just by thinking about them. There was Efua, who had never lied in her entire life. There was Kojo, who healed injured birds with his touch. 7 children. All hearing the same song. They found each other in the schoolyard during lunch. They didn't plan it. They just knew. They sat together under the big mango tree, and for the first time in days, the singing stopped. You hear it too? Oma whispered. They all nodded. My father says children used to disappear, Kwame said. Every 20 years. He says it's happening again. What does it want? Abina asked, tears rolling down her small face. No one had an answer. That afternoon, Kofi's mother picked him up early from school. So did all the other parents. 7 families, all terrified, all helpless. The parents tried everything. They took their children to the church. The pastor prayed and sprinkled holy water, but the singing continued. They went to the mosque. The Imam read Quranic verses and gave them amulets, but the singing grew louder. They visited the old priestess who lived at the edge of the village. She made protective charms from cowrie shells and black soap, but the singing laughed at them. "There is nothing you can do," the priestess said sadly. "The forest has chosen. The forest always gets what it wants. Then we'll leave." Kofi's mother cried. "We'll take our children far away from here." "You can try," the priestess said. "Others have tried before." Kwame's family tried to run first. His father parked their car at midnight. They drove toward the city, little Kwame sleeping in the back seat. They made it 15 kilometers before the car stopped. The engine died. The lights went dark. The forest appeared in front of them. Not the forest from Nkrumah, that was 15 kilometers away. But somehow, the forest was here too. The same trees. The same darkness. The same singing. Kwame woke up. His eyes were blank. He opened the car door and started walking toward the trees. "Kwame. No." His father grabbed him, but Kwame was strong, impossibly strong. He threw his father to the ground and kept walking. His mother screamed and grabbed his legs. Kwame dragged her along the dirt road, step by step, toward the forest. Then, suddenly, he stopped. The singing stopped. Kwame blinked and looked around, confused. "Papa. Mama. Why are we on the road?" They drove back to Nkrumah in silence. They never spoke of leaving again. The 7 families gathered at the village chief's compound. They sat in a circle, desperate and afraid. "There must be something we can do," Omo's father said. "We cannot just give our children to this evil." The old priestess stood in the center of the circle. She looked ancient, her skin like dried leather, her eyes milky with cataracts. But when she spoke, her voice was strong. 75 years ago, I was a young priestess. I witnessed the calling before. I have searched for answers my whole life. I have spoken to spirits, consulted ancient texts, traveled to wise people across this land. And I have learned the truth." Everyone leaned forward. "The forest is not evil," she said. "It is hungry. Long before our village existed, before our grandparents' were born, something terrible happened in that place. A massacre. A betrayal. Thousands died with anger in their hearts and curses on their lips. Their pain soaked into the earth. Their rage became something else. Something that feeds on innocence. On pure souls. Every 20 years, it needs to feed. If it doesn't. Kofi's mother whispered. Everyone dies. The village. The neighboring towns. The land itself becomes poisoned. The last time someone tried to stop it was in 1925. 17 villages were destroyed. Thousands of people died of a strange sickness. Crops failed for 10 years. Silence fell over the gathering. So we just sacrifice our children. Your father's voice shook with rage and grief. No, the priestess said. There is one other way. An old way. But it requires a willing trade. What trade? A life for a life. Not child for child. Adult for child. Someone must take their place. Someone must walk into the forest willingly, offering themselves instead. The forest might accept. It might not. I don't know. No one has ever tried. All the parents looked at each other. I'll go, Kofi's mother said immediately. No, I will, said Omo's father. My son means everything to me. I'll go, said Kwame's mother. They argued, each parent willing to die for their child. But the priestess raised her hand. Only one can go. The forest will only accept one trade for all 7 children. And it must be someone the children love. Someone whose laws would teach them the price of life. How do we choose? Someone asked. You don't, the priestess said. The children choose. They brought the 7 children to the chief's compound that night. The parents sat on one side. The children sat on the other. The priestess explained everything. She used simple words, but the meaning was heavy enough to crush them all. One person must walk into the forest in your place, she told the children. One person who loves you. You must choose who. The children started crying. Kofi's whole body shook with sobs. I don't want anyone to die for me. I don't want this. I know, child, the priestess said gently. But this is the only way. If you choose no one, all 7 of you will go. If you choose someone, that person goes, and you live. There is no other path. Little Abina stood up. She was only 6, the youngest of them all. She walked to her mother and hugged her legs. I choose my mama. Her mother lifted her up, tears streaming down her face. Yes, baby. Mama will go. Mama will protect you. One by one, each child chose. Amma chose her father. Kwame chose his mother. Yo chose his uncle. Efua chose her grandmother. Kojo chose his older brother. Finally, only Kofi hadn't chosen. He looked at his mother. She was all he had. His father had died when he was 3. It had always been just the 2 of them. She worked selling vegetables in the market. She sang to him every night. She made him laugh when he was sad. She was his whole world. Kofi, she said softly. It's okay. Choose me. I want this. I want you to live and grow up and be happy. Choose me, my son. But Kofi shook his head. I can't, Mama. I can't. He turned to the priestess. You said someone the children love. Someone whose laws would teach us the price of life. Yes. Then I choose. I choose myself. The room went silent. Kofi, no, his mother screamed. The priestess said a willing trade, Kofi said, his voice small but steady. I'm willing. I'll go instead of my mama. I'll go instead of everyone. Let the other 6 children go free. Let their families stay together. Take only me. The priestess stared at him, her milky eyes filling with tears. Child, you don't understand what you're saying. I do, Kofi said. I heard the singing first. Maybe it wanted me most. So I go. Just me. Please. The priestess tried to argue, but the forest made its decision. The singing stopped for all the other children. Only Kofi still heard it now, than ever, beautiful and terrible. Kofi, you chose yourself, how brave, how special, come now, come and see what awaits. His mother held him and wouldn't let go. The other parents had to pull her away, all of them crying, all of them knowing this small boy had saved their children. The priestess gave Kofi a white cloth to wear. She painted symbols on his forehead with red clay. She whispered prayers in languages he didn't know. When you enter the forest, she said, you will see many things. Beautiful things and terrible things. Do not run. Do not scream. Walk forward with courage. That is all I can tell you. The whole village came to watch Kofi's final walk. They lined the path from the chief's compound to the edge of the bad forest. They held candles. They sang hymns. They wept. Kofi walked slowly, his small feet bare on the dusty ground. He wore the white cloth like a robe. He looked like a tiny priest going to meet his God. His mother collapsed behind him, held up by neighbors. Kofi. My baby. Come back. Kofi. He turned once and smiled at her. I love you, Mama. Don't be sad. I'm brave. You taught me to be brave. Then he faced the forest and kept walking. At the edge, Where the trees began, he stopped and looked back one last time. He saw his whole village, everyone he'd ever known, everyone who'd ever been kind to him, everyone who'd ever made him laugh. He saw the 6 other children, standing together, alive because of his choice. He saw his mother's face, broken with grief. Then he stepped into the darkness. The singing surrounded him immediately. But now he could see the singers. They were children. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. All the children who'd been taken over the years, going back decades, maybe centuries. But they weren't really children anymore. They were shadows shaped like children. Hollow. Their eyes were empty spaces. Their mouths moved but made no sound except the singing. They reached for Kofi with fingers like smoke. Welcome, Kofi, you chose yourself. That has never happened before, you are special. The trees closed behind him. There was no path back now. What happens to me now? Kofi asked, his voice trembling but clear. The shadow children laughed. It sounded like wine through dead leaves. You become like us, you feed the forest, you sing to call the next ones, forever and forever and forever. Kofi felt something cold touch his chest. It spread through him like ice water in his veins. He looked down and saw his hands beginning to fade. Becoming transparent. Becoming shadow. It didn't hurt. That was the worst part. It felt almost peaceful. Like falling asleep after a very long day. Wait, Kofi said. The priestess said the forest feeds every 20 years. But why? What are you feeding? What is this forest? The shadow children came closer. They surrounded him, their empty eyes reflecting nothing. We are the forest is us, we are the anger that never died, the pain that never healed, we are everyone who was forgotten, everyone who died with no one to remember them, so we take the ones who would be remembered, we take the special ones, the loved ones, and we keep them. Kofi understood then. The forest wasn't a place. It was a feeling. It was loneliness and abandonment made real. It was the pain of being forgotten, grown so large it became a living thing. And the only way it could feel anything was to take those who would be missed. That's so sad, Kofi whispered. The shadow children stopped moving. What did you say? You're sad, Kofi said. You're all so sad. You just want someone to remember you. For the first time, the singing stopped. The shadow children stared at him, their empty eyes somehow conveying shock. What are your names? Kofi asked softly. From before. When you were real. What were you called? One by one, they began to speak. Their voices were like whispers from far away. Ajua. Kubina. Okojua. Kwesi. Names. Hundreds of names. Children from villages that no longer existed. From times long forgotten. Each one had been loved once. Each one had mattered to someone. But everyone who remembered them was dead now. And so they became shadows, feeding on the memory of love they could no longer feel. Kofi's body was half shadow now, but he forced himself to speak. I remember you, he said. All of you. I remember your names. You'll forget, they whispered. Everyone forgets. Then I'll make the forest remember. I'll be different. I'll be shadow like you, but I'll keep my heart. I'll keep my love. And I'll remember. Something shifted in the forest. The darkness became less dark. The cold became less cold. The shadow children began to look more like children again, still faded, still wrong, but with hints of who they'd once been. Kofi felt the change in himself too. Yes, he was becoming shadow. Yes, he was becoming part of the forest. But he was also still himself. I'm still 7 years old. Still full of love for his mother, his village, his life. He could be both. Shadow and boy. Taken and willing. Lost and found. What's happening? The shadow children whispered. You're being remembered, Kofi said. I remember you. And I'll make sure you're never forgotten again. His body was fully shadowed now, transparent and cold, but his eyes still shone with something the forest hadn't seen in centuries: hope. The forest needs to feed every 20 years, Kofi said. But what if instead of taking children, we just visited them? In their dreams. To remind them we're here. To ask them to remember the ones who came before. Would that feed you? Would that be enough? The shadow children looked at each other. Slowly, they began to nod. We can try to be different, if you'll help us. I will, Kofi promised. I'll help you. But you have to let the forest rest. No more taking children. No more singing to call them. No more. The forest itself seemed to shudder. The trees bent. The ground trembled. Then, slowly, it settled. The deal was made. In Nkrumah village, Kofi's mother waited by the edge of the forest for 3 days and 3 nights. The priestess came to her on the 4th morning. He's not coming back. I'm sorry. I know, his mother whispered. But I'll wait anyway. Just a little longer. That night, she dreamed. In the dream, Kofi stood before her. He was transparent, like looking at him through water, but he was smiling. He looked peaceful. Mama, don't cry. Kofi. Baby, come home. Please come home. I can't, Mama. I'm part of the forest now. But I'm okay. I'm not scared. I'm not alone. There are so many children here, and they needed someone to remember them. So I'm remembering them. I'm keeping them company. I want you back. I want my son back. I know, Mama. I'm sorry. But I made a choice. I chose this. And it's not as bad as you think. I'm doing something important. I'm making sure no more children get taken. I changed the forest, Mama. I made it different. His mother reached for him in the dream, but her hand passed through him like smoke. Will I ever see you again? Every night, if you want. I'll visit your dreams. I'll tell you about the shadow children and their stories. I'll tell you I love you. I'll tell you I'm proud to be your son. And one day, when you're very old and it's time for you to rest, I'll be waiting for you. Not in the forest. Somewhere better. Somewhere bright. Kofi. I have to go now, Mama. But remember, I'm not gone. I'm just different. And I'm doing good work here. Important work. Be proud of me. He faded from the dream, he smiled the last thing to disappear. Kofi's mother lived to be 67 years old. She never married again. She never had other children. She lived alone in her small house, selling vegetables in the market, just as she always had. But every night, Kofi visited her dreams. And she would wake with tears on her face and warmth in her heart. She told everyone about the shadow children. She wrote down their names in a book, hundreds of names that Kofi shared with her. She made sure the village remembered them. Every year on the anniversary of Kofi's walk into the forest, the whole village would gather and read the names aloud. Ajoa, we remember you. Kubina, we remember you. Akojua, we remember you. And in the forest, the shadow children would listen and feel, just for a moment, like they were real again. 20 years passed. 2045 arrived. The year when the forest should have called again. But it didn't. No children heard singing. No one was taken. The forest remained silent, peaceful, resting. Kofi's mother died peacefully in her sleep that year, a smile on her face. In her hand was the book of names. On her nightstand was a photo of a 7-year-old boy with bright eyes and a brave smile. The village buried her with honors. They called her the Mother of Shadows, the woman who kept the memory. And that night, everyone in Nkrumah village had the same dream. They saw Kofi, no longer shadow but solid and real and glowing with light. He was holding his mother's hand. She looked young again, happy, oh. Behind them stood hundreds of shadow children, and they were fading, not into darkness but into light. Released. Remembered. Finally at peace. Kofi turned and waved to the village. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Thank you for remembering. You saved us all. Then they were gone. The forest remained, but it was just a forest now. Just trees and birds and earth. The hunger was gone. The pain was gone. The shadows were gone. All that remained was the story. And the book of names. And the lesson that love, real, sacrificial, brave love, can change even the darkest things into light.
Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe, like, and turn on the notification for more amazing stories.